Welcome to The Vortex.
Good afternoon, my name is Dr.MattieKlare. Welcome to The Vortex. We have Peter Allen Roberts today. He is a very special screenwriter who is aware of the language, Tibetan language.
Well, I worked as a Tibetan translator since about 25 years, 27 years, and came from Wales. So my first language was Welsh, and
I can hear the accent.
You can hear the accent? It's still there? It's almost entirely gone. And lived in Scotland for 12 years at a Tibetan centre. And then went to Oxford to do Sanskrit and stayed on to do research in Tibetan.
So that's how you get into the Tibetan language to study, because it's unusual.
Yes, I was unusual.
So we have to. It's a little bit unusual, being from Wales, living so long in Scotland, and speaking the Tibetan language. So how did you get interested in this language or this direction?
Well, I think it was probably the Beatles, I think.
So what happened at the school?
It was a Tibetan centre. It was like a group. There was a Tibetan Lama living there. It was the first Tibetan centre established in the West by Rechung-pa and Akong Rinpoche, and then later, after they kind of had a disagreement, Rechung-pa went to America and started up a lot of centres that are still going here. So there was a few Tibetans living there, just 3 Tibetans, and about 20 to 40 people. It grew and grew while I was living there and visiting Tibetan lamas. So I'd get a lama coming and teaching for 3 months or something, and so gradually I learnt the language and the spoken language, the modern Tibetan, and then the classical Tibetan is what the texts are mostly written in. And I was, doing the practices, and my friends and I were going to do the 3-year retreat, where you don't lie down for 3 years, you sit in a box. And, but I ended up being the translator for the retreat instead. And so that was the slight deviance in my road, whereas the others all went off to meditate solidly for years and years. I spent my time poring over books.
So I guess when you're translating all these amazing books and works that is written in the Tibetan language, first of all, it's amazing to bring it to the public, to us, and share it. We are not aware of the language, and then for you is actually an incredible, you learn all those stuff, so you are getting deeper and deeper into that material, and then you growing, you doing actually almost more than you would meditate and then keep it for yourself, because you share it with the world.
Yes, I thought it would be useful for other people rather than my sitting in the corner and getting nowhere. I thought it would be useful for people who are going somewhere to get something, and also often it's translating with the lamas, and so that helps also with the books. You get the feel of the book, kind of what it's really.
You communicating with the lamas then next, and I mean, who has the chance to get so close to this incredible source? And also I'm aware of that movie Milarepa, and I heard that you translated the material to that one.
Well, my research was kind of related to that movie. So I did research on the history of the biographies of Milarepa, which is because there's a story of Milarepa which is very popular in Tibet, and which the film is based on, but and most people don't realize it's the end. It's like the fruition of about 3.5 centuries of story development, and with so I had to find all of the texts that existed before, and some of them were very rare. There was one really important one, and only 3 copies were known to exist in the world at that time. Actually, it turned out to be 2. One was in Stockholm Museum; it had gone missing.
Oh wow!
And so I only found photocopies scattered around, because that section of their collection was still uncatalogued, and so I traced the evolution of the story, basically, and how it came to become the story that we all know, and which is kind of like an improvement on the original historical version, which is a bit more, ordinary and mundane or whatever. So.
That's a very fun name. It's a great story. What do you think we learn in our day today from that particular? You bind, to the today's. What do you think? You as the translator, researcher, to get all the material together. What do you think it would be the next? Just to show it, share it with others.
Oh, you mean the story of Milarepa as in the movie that? Yes, actually, I just watched 2-hour DVD of different lamas giving the talks on them. The main thing on Milarepa is they said that he was an ordinary person with lots of bad karma, but through one-pointed, diligence and dedication, he was able to purify himself and attain enlightenment, which means that that anyone can do it. That's usually the main effect of reading the book on people, Tibetans, Westerners, but in the research I found that that before that version he was always, like most other lamas, said to be actually a manifestation of a Buddha, and he didn't really have any bad karma, and particularly as particularly in the earliest ones, that he didn't even have the appearance of having bad karma. So the story has changed quite a lot to become that one, which is still, almost every lama from whatever school they're in, mention him as this kind of example of an ordinary being achieving Buddhahood through kind of superhuman dedication, living on nettles for years and turning green and things like that.
So we have to work through our karma and as much as possible get to the enlightenment practically and have a cleared out our life. Would you think so? Would you say so?
Yeah, I'd say that's it. I should be asking you about it.
No, I'm just very spiritual oriented. That's no wonder that we do the show with the Vortex and understanding higher level of
about to be done. As these things can go.
I saw you today when we met. Actually, we met each other first time, and really, I am glad that we met. It's really nice to meet you. And I saw that you have a book out there. I see your name on it, and then this is a published book. Tell me something about this book.
Well, this was based on my thesis, my university thesis. So it's actually a study of the biographies of a pupil of Milarepa, called Rechung-pa, and he's interesting to a lot of people because, unlike most other lamas, he seems to be very, he gets into a lot of arguments with his lama and doesn't do what he's told, and so on. So which is not the usual description of the great Tibetan masters, and so I did the same thing. I was looking at all the different biographies that led up to that version, which is in the Milarepa. Like if Milarepa movie part 2, it should really possibly feature him. And but I found that over time he was portrayed as more and more kind of a rebel over time, because although he really was the principal pupil, it's another person who was a monk who is the source of the main school in Tibetan Buddhism. So generally they switched a lot of things over to him, to the other pupil, various events to make him the main pupil and Rechungpa the secondary one. But he was not the non-monastic like Milarepa, so they were based on sexual practices and so on, and so it's very non-monastic. So it became somewhat marginalized in Tibetan history.
So I guess being a rebel and asking questions, questioning certain teachings, makes the teachings also more validating them and growing. Would that be the case why you are interested in that particular story?
I think just that.
Can you show the book just to that people can see that?
It's like a narrative device, because then you have this narrative device of a back and forth. So his teacher says one thing and then he counters it. So, and then of course in the end he's mostly proved wrong, or the pupil. But